Look then, let's bring on the veto and see what we're working with for our opening bout here at the Mexico Major Madness. Navi versus SSG. We'll have a look where this is going to be taking us, as hopefully it should be a very tasty treat. Des, are you just excited to get into it?
I am, mate. Honestly, between these two teams coming in, I had a real big hope we'd be going to something like a Chalet, and I'm praying that we do, because SSG have played it a ton. Navi, one of the teams that really enjoy playing it in Europe, have often had it banned away against them. So if they really wanted to come and make a power statement on day one, I feel like Chalet would be the map that you step into. But I think I'm with Tim. You'll probably find them going and more just kind of testing the waters here, dipping your toe. And you know, it's a nice sunny afternoon outside. You don't want to get yourself too cold, so you just dip a few toes in there. You're going to see, I think, like he said, a Clubhouse in Oregon, that sort of vibe likely coming out between the two.
That's how you get the shock, though. You want to just go for the all-in, Des, not the
You want to dive in head first, mate. Why not?
Just completely submerge yourself. You know, it gets you more equipped to the water coldness quicker.
I'm going to submerge. I'm ready to submerge myself in Siege. I know that, Jackie.
Oh.
You're going to be.
This man's just full of the buzzwords, isn't he? You love it.
He'll be drowning.
Phrases.
Honestly, he's going to be drowning in quality of games because the whole day is looking splendid. It's not just a banger to start off with, right? Back-to-back quality games the whole way through. It's ridiculous, but we will step into this one a little bit sooner. It seems like we are actually ready to get underway, of course, with our opening game of the day, Navi versus SSG on Kafe. Boys, a real treat for the both of you. I can't wait to see how this is going to go down. I'm excited for it. Take it with both hands.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Tim, it's where it all begins, the same as it did at SI 2020. These two teams, we've seen them throw down before. That last best of three they played in, ultimately going the way of SSG. And I believe, if I remember it, Navi weren't so hot at entry. They were like -11 overall, I think it was. SSG, the ones coming in, no doubt, here as the favourites. But Navi could cause a bit of an upset.
It certainly could. It's interesting that you pick up on the entry, Des, because that's something that SSG have done extremely well through Stage 2 in NAL, but they've not always been as hot when that entry kill goes against them. So that is definitely a big thing for everybody at home to watch out for. How are those opening kills going? And then particularly, how do SSG react if it doesn't go in their favour? But Kafe should be an interesting one. It's a map that we know over the years Navi have done very well on. They've been happy to play there. It's sort of that middle of the road. It's not quite as often played as your Clubhouse Oregon, as I suggested, but it's still well known to everybody. So I think this is absolute perfect battleground for this first game.
Yeah, and that's kind of middle of the road, as we were talking about a little bit earlier on. The big focus for me today, though, has got to come, as I mentioned in that pre-game desk, about hot and cold. That he was the one as the new man stepping in. Admittedly, Nathan secretly on the other side, but a lot of focus is going to be on hot and cold. Just had it in my ears that the game is basically ready to start as well, so we'll keep a close eye for that one getting underway, no doubt, in a few moments. I'm curious to know, actually, one thing I didn't check was which side either team starts on here as well. Not that it makes a world of difference at the moment. At the end of the day, you both got to do 6 rounds on either side, unless it ends a little bit preemptively. Either way, 30 seconds is the count in my ear, Tim.
30 seconds to greatness, Des. That is the opportunity that is in front of these players now. It is time to forget all the practice, not literally forget it, but we are into the game. This is where it now counts. Everything else that has gone before doesn't really matter too much. It is about what happens over the next hour.
It absolutely is a big spicy one to kick things off. Let's get into it. Game number 1, Kafe between Navi and SSG to get the B stream started is underway.
Going to be absolutely huge here. We're just looking for those couple of big performances from big players to really get us off to the races with a bit of a bang. Like you say, Rampy last time, surely we can't ask for the same sort of action, Des, coming in with an ace to kick things off. It surely can't happen, can it?
Nah, I mean, surely not, but already I'm looking at that ban and thinking of Yingban. God, the last time I saw Yingban on this map was probably Virtus Pro when they played against, I want to say it was BDS, I forget a little bit, but that does feel like it's particularly targeted in towards SSG. Some funky bans, you might say there, Tim. That's going to be the second one following through, the third one coming out on the defensive side, the Mirror. Any hedge bets on the last ban?
Oh, maybe a Valkyrie. We're talking about Kafe. There's obviously some super powerful external cams for Valkyrie. Intel can be a bit of a killer. There we go. So that's going to round things. My heart bleeds, as my heart bleeds.
The Magician, mate. That's what we're going to start calling you now. Magic Man Tim and his magic predictions. Perfect. So Ying really the only one on that lineup that I look at and go, a little bit of a target one potentially coming against SSG. Interesting, considering that both of these teams, Navi and SSG, are the kind of teams that will lean in towards making non-default bans, will try and target or do something a little bit quirky. but it is going to be Na'Vi kicking things off on the defense, starting in the fireplace and mining site. What many would consider to be the fourth most preferred site on this map. However, all four are viable. So I think starting on the offsite, trying to catch the opposition team by surprise, not a bad shout.
Well, interestingly, Des, we've already mentioned that group stage match from SI 2020 where we saw these two face off. Now then, guess what? Na'Vi started on the defence that day as well. It was on Clubhouse instead of here on Kafe, but there's a lot of similarities coming in here. The Na'Vi roster being the big difference. So can they make an improvement? Can they come out with a better start here against SSG? We're going to be heading to mining as our first site. So interesting choice there. We've got the castle on the side of Na'Vi with Nath taking up the mantle there, just blocking off that double doorway from the bottom of red stairs. Interesting setup so far.
Yeah, I'm keen to see what the change to it is. Normally, if I see a castle on Kafe, and no doubt SSG may have been thinking some of the same, you often see a hole coming inside a cigar shop. And given we're seeing this laser gate down the double doorway, it's normally when you then see a castle layered in front of it as well to create like a double layer that you have to break your way through. But I think here it's more to catch potential grenades or other things that might come singing through, as the castle back barricades have currently gone down inside of mining. So Na'Vi not wasting any time here and bringing out something a bit different. We haven't seen this sort of stuff from them before, so I'm always keen to see what new strats teams have got to bring into a tournament like this.
We are into the action phase then. We're underway here at the Rainbow Six Mexico Major, and this is game one of Group B with Na'Vi versus SSG. We're going to have some immediate pressure coming in from that rooftop. SSG not messing about at all, getting themselves straight up. They're going to look to take top floor control and then work some vertical angles down towards site. But as we can see, Na'Vi have got a number of players just trying to hold off and prevent that from happening. We've got Nath in the bar back storage, got himself a deployable shield as well to assist with playing into piano. We've got the Malusi of Blur in bathroom. We've got saves out on cocktail as well. So this is not going to be an easy top floor take. SSG coming into a lot of resistance.
This is just really cool. Like, normally this is the kind of top floor hold you see coming in for a reading site. I have never seen a mining defense have this kind of setup before, where you have 2-3 members playing up on the top floor. You've only got one really playing on site downstairs, and I imagine on SSG's side, they know they want this top floor control before they even think about trying to push on the downstairs, even knowing that there's only potentially one player that could stop them if they did go hyper aggressive. Maybe they're just fearful of the verticals that could be used against them later on, but I love it so far. Really cool, interesting setup coming out of Na'Vi.
Time ticking by, and we haven't had that opening kill yet. SSG very good through stage 2, but not able to find it here yet. Na'Vi playing this pretty cautiously, not taking those aggressive gunfights, instead just wasting time sheerly by being present in an area and then dropping away. So we find ourselves 5 versus 5, a minute left to go, and SSG not yet moving off the top floor.
No, I mean, again, when you're coming up against something new like this, you need to adapt and figure out what it is you're doing on the fly. This is going to be a real test for the SSG side of, how can we adapt here? We can't have prepared for this. And there's
Rampy
entry. Is it Rampy starting again? No, because Doki puts him in the dirt. 1 for 1, a second coming in onto Blur just a few seconds later as Volts goes for the swing, gets the one down, but no, the kill finished off. We'll collect another. It's a 1 versus 3 for saves, and SSG, after a quiet 2 minutes, they close that out in style, Tim.
Absolutely no fear from SSG about the clock there, as you say. 2 minutes taken to just get complete control over that top floor, but then it was like dominoes. One fell after the other, and Na'Vi were picked apart and just dismantled there in the mid floor and able to be shut down.
Like I say, a really cool defense coming out. Let's definitely sit back and look at that one again later on to understand more about the setup coming out of Na'Vi, what it was they were trying to do. But for SSG, as you mentioned, played it quite patient. Sure, it took them a lot of time, but they used that time to talk, to figure out what the game plan was. The coordinated drop, for example, coming down through the laundry hatch at the same time someone came down white stairs. Just good team play coming out of SSG, and that's what we've seen from them an awful lot in Stage 2. So it's carrying on here at the Major, always promising to see, especially if you're an NA fan.
It was, I think, as a suggestion there that SSG had some good information to hand as well, which is something, that we expect from this team. It's something that they do very well, is play that drone-in cam and information game, and it just, as you say, felt like they knew exactly what Na'Vi were doing. They knew how to find the pinchers, they knew how to find those crossfires that just left Na'Vi unable to challenge in the gunfights.
Absolutely. Well, that tech pause that we just had a second ago is going to be very, very brief, as we are basically getting back into the game in just a second. Bar and Cocktail up on the top floor going to be where we head. We're seeing a castle and the Aruni coming out for Na'Vi again. This is where I think you're going to see that west side cigar shop hold. Very common that you'll layer up, for example, the laser gates plus the castle barricades on the double door coming out of cigar, but also one on the south side window at the bottom of piano. Thank you very much for demonstrating that for me, Easy. This means that, look, realistically, as the attackers, you're having to burn through potentially 4 pieces of utility just to get any kind of angle inside a cigar shop. So you're going to see secretly playing in there behind a shield on the smoke. You'll have a mute jammer in there as well. That's going to be, I think, call number 1 for SSG, is to break that hold open and then start looking at your advancement inside a bar or cocktail to look for the plant.
It's something that we've seen the North American teams deal with extremely well. I'm thinking of TSM particularly back at SI21. Dealt with this defense very, very well, getting the Zephyr on the window at the south of your screen. Now, I would expect to see Fultz moving into that position and looking to try and assist in clearing out Cigar Shop. Again, time could be a factor here. You've got to do it as quickly as you can, so you're not leaving things too late in the round when that final push comes out. But that is going to be a key battleground of round 2. That is certainly an area to watch out for. If SSG are getting themselves into piano established and they've cleared out Cigar Shop by, say, the halfway mark, 1 minute 30, maybe even 1 minute left on the clock, then the attack is going pretty well.
Absolutely. I mean, we normally have a metric by which we compare some teams in their vertical clear on this map. That 1.5 minute point is where I normally go to for Kafe, of saying, has a team got themselves the vertical control they need? Bolts. Not sure about that one, buddy. Not quite aware of Nath hanging out towards pillars. But again, just to go back on that point of the vertical control, keep a close eye on that one and see how long it takes them to get it. Here, it's not so much a big deal because you're attacking upwards rather than down. Down is where I normally measure that. But you also want this control below, which no doubt Nath has just put a massive dent in by getting that opening kill onto the Zofia.
Fultz could be a big loss there. As we said, getting the Zofia onto that south-sided window can be a big play to clearing out piano. But hot and cold, he's going to get in there with a very late trade onto the castle, finds a headshot and takes Nath off the board, leaving us 4 versus 4. There's still plenty of time left on the clock for Space Station here. The question is, how do they maneuver around Cigar Shop? How do they move around piano and get the control that they need now with a little bit of a lack of utility? They've only got 1 nade remaining, so those castle barricades are very likely to stay in place.
Yeah, it shouldn't be moving anywhere too super soon, given the utility of the range from the Zofia has been taken away. Maybe now you're looking towards Frax to come out, secretly finding another one for himself, and it's hot and cold playing downstairs inside a reading, looking to do some damage. But as you saw for a second there, secretly too hot to trot, not finding himself caught out just yet. In comes secretly after I think he went for a jump out and got himself the second. Things balance out at 3 for 3. So despite SSG being, picked on by Na'Vi a little bit, getting ambushed and surprised, they are still finding responses.
They certainly are. It's something that they're doing very, very well. He's not falling behind in terms of the man count, able to find those trades. But let's look at where SSG are right now. Still completely on the mid-floor, Des. There are no boots on the ground up on the top floor, which is where the site is located. Now looking to move onto the windows. Doki with a huge play there. I'm going to guess that was a jump out of the white window. Finds himself 2, ripping one off the rappel as he goes. Saves, finds the final angle through the bar back storage wall. And that's going to be a better round from Na'Vi. And Des, we've just had the perfect start to the Mexico Major here. 1-0. We needed Na'Vi to come and get that. We don't want any runaway games here. We want them all close. And that's exactly where this one is going.
Absolutely. I mean, that run was a much different play style coming out of Na'Vi, where it was less reliant on roaming up on the top floor. Instead, it was playing on the second floor, but being quite agile, moving about an awful lot. You had the jump out coming out of smoke, one coming out of Doki later on, who I think read the situation really well, by the way. He was sat halfway at white, heard 2 members of SSG go running past him in towards reading, and probably could gather from that information there is a fairly good chance they're going to go outside a Christmas door, get themselves on the rappel, and look for something on either New Balcony or look in towards playing on that East Cocktail window. So a good read and a double kill on the jump out. Beautiful round coming out from Doki, and we spoke about him in the pre-show and how much we need to see from him. 1 for 1, as you say. Brilliant starts for these 2 teams.
It is, and that's the potential danger for SSG here, is the fact that Doki's got himself a nice little kill in the first round. No problem there. Got traded out straight away, but that jump out, that double kill there is worth more than 2 kills to a player like Doki, because that is building confidence there. So that's giving him that feeling of like, right, today is going to be a good day. I'm hitting shots. I'm going to get there. I'm going to take those chances. And that's something that SSG need to deal with. They need to manage it, because if they let that get away from them, it could mean trouble. But there's still plenty of kills raining in on their side as well. Let's not forget Hot and Cold. He's matching Doki step for step at the minute, and 2 great trades in round 2 to try and keep SSG in things.
I really want to touch on this Chanka pick coming out from Secretly as well. Capcan coming in from Blur. Capcan for a start, we always mention, as soon as you know one trap exists, you've got to look out for 5 of them. It can slow you down, and that's not a bad thing to do against SSG. Chanka recently had a couple of changes, remember, though, mind you, from 10 rounds to 14. The main LMG has now been changed to have more destructive capability too. So a couple of buffs coming in, non-massively significant, but enough that it can have an impact. We're always really excited to see how teams make use of this, because Secretly has prioritized picking a Janka over bringing something like the smoke. So there must be an idea or a setup here that they're looking to use, playing a little bit of pinball wizard around the site with those firebombs.
That's it. Certainly an interesting one where you get them bounced off the walls and into those default plant spots, and it's just an alternative to using the smoke canisters to try and delay those plants, but also potential pushes as well. Now that is quick progress. 1 minute in, Rampy's got himself inside a bakery, used the Maverick blowtorch to get the reinforcements off the wall. Now Nath could be a big problem here, just holding that nasty little angle from the top floor. Doki, he's going to move down, and they know now, Navi, they know they need to be putting some pressure onto Bakery, because there's a lot of time left on the clock. SSG have got great control. They've opened up the lines of sight that they need, and this is a lot of pressure for Navi to try and absorb for 1 minute and 30.
Oh, I mean, there's one. That's 60 HP taken off Fultz, which probably now means a bit of care to be taken on every single doorway you walk through. One more, he'll find himself losing his life, especially into the later stages of the round. Bosco and Nupley jumping in for a second and bringing down Blur. I think he was looking out towards Coat Check as well, but found nothing. Fultz, another onto Doki. There's the 2 kills to SSG. Won't make it a third as Hot and Cold now pulls ahead of Doki, finding himself yet another 5 versus 2. Surely for SSG, you don't see him losing this one.
Secretly getting aggressive on the Tachanka, looking to push forward, but finding absolutely nothing other than the barrel of Rampy's gun as he gets shut down. Flawless round as Fultz finds that final kill, and SSG, Des, they just had Navi's number in that round. I commented on it back in round 1. They're a team that use information extremely well, and they knew exactly where every single member of Na'Vi were there. Just the challenges and the timing. Blur, Doki, taken out within 10 seconds of each other. Beautiful attack.
Yeah, and I think a bit of a change coming in for Na'Vi here in terms of their lineup makes a lot of sense. No Capcan, no Chanka on side, going back to I don't want to say a more standard, but a more acceptable, maybe, Mute and Mozzie setup, one that we're quite used to seeing. Maybe see the Chanka stepping back in here for the smoke. Indeed, we shall. So one of them is still going to be present. The other one, though, looking at hindering, or the other pick, sorry, looking at hindering the information gain coming out of the side of SSG. That Twitch being brought along for Hot and Cold's a spicy one. For those who maybe missed the reveal panel earlier on, he's getting a couple of interesting changes. The drones can now jump. No longer shoots a little tiny... I don't know, I want to call it like a piece of string, because it looks like string when it just kind of falls from the air, whereas now it's an actual laser. Gone from being a pea shooter to an actual machine of death that can jump as well. Who would have thought it?
Yeah, it's certainly going to be some interesting changes to Twitch. We'll see how those play out. As you said, I think the jump is a big factor there. Obviously, the drone's previously stuck on the ground, but we'll be able to get into some interesting positions now. But maybe, you know, that was required with the range issues and everything else. So we'll see how that one plays out. But back to the game at hand. We've got round 4. SSG find themselves 2-1 up. Na'Vi only able to successfully defend that top floor at the minute. They tried mining back in round 1 and then Kitchen in round 3, both where SSG wins. Now we've gone to Kitchen again, and they're going to have to do something drastically different this time, Des, because SSG went flawless last time. They couldn't find a single kill. They just knew absolutely everywhere that Na'Vi were hiding. They were able to get in there aggressively and just pick them off one at a time. Na'Vi need to do something differently. They need to get something moving here.
Yeah, even with, looking at a spot where they were being contested in a small bakery window, you had to think it was Doki trying to swing onto that window. They were still like, yeah, fine. We know. We don't worry about it. We've got drones everywhere. You saw the yellow ping in round 2, for example. They do have the right tools in place, I think, SSG, to deal with this, which I think is why for Na'Vi it's a smart choice to brought along the Mute and the Mozzie and see how that plays out for them instead. But here comes this top 4 push in as well. One of those drones that was caught out being removed. The second one down behind the bar. They know where Doki is. He's going to have to get out of dodge. Does so, dropping off the balcony and getting himself back on the downstairs.
Again, that challenge from Fultz onto Doki there just tells me that SSG know more than Na'Vi do. Doki, almost unaware that he was going to be challenged, gets away with his life there on a different day. That's a headshot. Blur could have a big impact here, though, as they are unaware. I keep saying how SSG know where everybody is, but Hot and Cold just completely walks into Blur there, blind, and is shut down. Nath manages to double down, get a second. 5 versus 3 now. 1 minute 30 left to go, so SSG have at least got time on their side, but they're going to have to use some of that time now, Des. They're going to have to sit back, and they're just going to have to take stock of what just happened.
And here they're going to try, you know what, forget about that top floor now. We assume they've dropped away. Let's just start thinking about the site. And yes, you are coming up against 2 C4 still on site for Na'Vi as well. Is one thing to be concerned about. This red push going to be their main point. There is someone, the Malusi, sat watching the angle save, just daring them. Sees the man. That's the easiest kill of his life. Nay going down.
Have another!
Sees him too. It's a double coming in for saves. Rampy left alone. It's a counter flawless round ace. We saw round 1 going SSG, round 2 going Na'Vi, round 3 a flawless for SSG, and round 4 a flawless for Na'Vi. Welcome to Mexico.
Oh, I just love to see it, Des. I just love to see it. Round 3 comes in. SSG wipe the floor with them. Na'Vi say, yep, no problem. We'll have a bit of that action. Anything you can do, we can do just as well. We can't say it was better. It was just as flawless. But what a game that we've got on our hands at the minute. Both of them coming out and firing on both cylinders. All cylinders here. Just absolutely coming in and ripping the first performance of the major apart right now. And that's what we want to see. We don't want to see teams coming in and losing games. We want to see teams coming in and winning them. And both of them right now, they are claiming their territory.
It's up and down, left and right. Take your pick on which way the game's going to go. It's what we came to see. See how this one plays out this time round. Interestingly, Na'Vi here bringing along the Maestro as well. The last time they played, I forget which map it was, but in the best of 3 they played, SSG won 2 and 1. The Maestro ban did come out in a couple of those games, so clearly was quite feared at the time. Maybe the changes coming into Maestro, the ability to go melee, the evil eyes now to break the glass so you can no longer see through it. Maybe that's something that's kind of taken him ever so slightly out of favor, including a small twist to the meta itself. This top 4 defense is going to be a much more normal one, I think, compared to what we're seeing. Maybe a little bit more exotic here with this setup they've got inside of the bathroom. Commonly, when you're defending reading and fireplace, you'll hold inside a cocktail and drop away, you know, into the kind of mid-stage of the round. Very few teams will commit so many reinforcements and utility towards playing inside a bathroom with a view to contesting the piano when you're defending this site. It is quite an aggressive extension. This is where I get worried for Na'Vi, because if SSG find a single gap in the armor, you know they're full well going to charge through it.
Doki getting aggressive there, just taking a little knock onto the barricade. May well have had a peek towards the spawn, but certainly hasn't found anybody. Kept himself led prone. I believe he's still on that piano stage at the moment. The drones are going to go in against ahead of Hot and Cold here, and again, going to come down to that battle, but let's not forget, he's got the Malusi of Blur on the pixel spot in the corner as well, just to offer some assistance now. Blur starts to get pretty aggressive here. He's just opening up the bottom of that red wall, looking for the potential drop from the hatch, and that has just put the brakes on SSG a little bit. We've got a man who's going to drop onto the window, but once again, Blur seems prepared for this. He knows exactly what is going to come here. Doki, he decides to get himself out of dodge. He's going to drop the hatch, but once again, that's a minute completely wasted by Na'Vi. Good play so far.
Yeah, time and utility being invested, right? Drones, you name it, all being consumed to try and make this work for them. Hot and Cold finally picking up Blur, who I think overstayed his welcome potentially. I think he was hanging around the top of White Corridor for the most part there. And with the drop coming in, it was a really smart impact nade, by the way, to make it so it wasn't safe to drop through the hatch. But they make it work with that pressure onto stage to make sure no one could play that close to being able to directly contest onto the drop angle. Doki, though, is still the one playing behind the shield and looking to see what he can do. Sees one head. Oh, but Bosco with a great trade back. Was a good initial find, but not enough that's going to keep things going their way. 2 good early kills coming out for SSG.
A well-timed push from SSG there to clear Doki out of bathroom. There's no way that he wins both of those gunfights, and this for me is is looking more and more like an SSG round as it progresses. They've got themselves the map control. They're forcing Na'Vi deeper and deeper back now. You've got saves and secretly all the way back on those white stairs. Nath is trying for all his life to hold on to Cocktail for as long as possible. 45 seconds left to go. And SSG, they're starting to move across the map. They're moving from west to east towards that objective, towards the potentially getting that diffuser down. But are they aware of Nath up on that top floor? Because he could spoil the party. If this is a late push to get the diffuser down, that could be a big problem. But Bosco is still up above on the Nomad and needs to win that challenge.
He does here as well. Here comes that challenge you're speaking of, but Nath wins it out. That's what you want. The vertical control is going to be there. Faults the one now, crouching his way up the stairs here. Do they know? They have no idea that he's coming up behind them here. Finds one for a freebie, but there's no one else to trade onto. No one else is watching for a brief couple of seconds. 10 seconds to play. The smoke is down and off the table. That's what you wanted. Secretly, and Nath Faults finds 1 or 2 versus 1 for SSG. Can they buck the trend here? Do they even know? One's on the upstairs. They've got a clue. C4 coming out into the default spot. No one's there. Sees one on the stairs. Wins the 1v1. Can secretly win the 1 versus 1 against Nade, who's holding off on the plant spot. Here we go, Ace. It comes down to this. 35 seconds on the clock. A spray through the wall. No man to be found here. Just breezing past him. He must know that he's in the corner. He thinks he's going to be on the doorway here. Now knows that he's to his right. Will he swing? Sprays through the wall. Chips in the tiniest little bit, but he's rotated out. Flade wins it out. A great rotate out of sight. And that'll be another round going the way of SSG.
Beautifully played by thinking Nath there. That was not an easy situation to be in. Nath recognised that the diffuser was not going to be planted in Reading. They recognised that the SSG push was coming into Dining instead. So he drops the hatch, but he loses the fight, leaving secretly on his own. Nath manages to get that diffuser down, but knows that he has to stay on top of the briefcase. He can't risk moving because secretly has got the angles covered. Secretly, he's got a good idea where he is, but Nath waits for the perfect moment to create that distance that he knows that he needs to be able to win a gunfight against the shotgun. The last thing that he wants is a CQC confrontation there, and that was absolutely beautifully played from him. SSG go in and claim that round. It looked in the mid-round like Na'Vi had really got a grip on it after those couple of kills from Nath, but no, SSG able to lock it down, and that's impressive stuff.
It's again one of those rounds that brings it pretty close though, right? We've had quite a few back and forth rounds, the first 4, up and down for either side, a couple of flawless rounds thrown in the mix. And that last round really was another one that came down to a nail-biting moment that ultimately Nade was just better in. His first kill, it's worth mentioning, on the whole map as well. But those are the kind of kills that are that high impact that win you rounds, that you'll be thankful, whether it's 1 kill or 2 kills at the end of the map, that he managed to walk away with that if it comes down to, say, a 7-5 to SSG. Top floor defense going to be where we head to finish off this defensive half for Na'Vi. This goes 4-2 the way of SSG. You'll be asking some questions about just how well their attacking half can go, because for Na'Vi, I think sometimes when they're not fully coordinated, that's when you can see things start to fall apart for them on the attacking side.
Oh, they certainly want this round. They've already won the top floor once, and pretty convincingly, I think it's fair to say so. They'll be desperate to just level this up and give themselves at least the best opportunity they can coming into that second half. But SSG, I'm sure, are going to try to have something to say about that. They've been going very, very well so far, and I'm sure they're going to adapt to what Na'Vi brought along last time. Now, quick progress once again. Hot and Cold just opening up the red wall from the top of the stairs through to Piano there. He's just going to take out the barricade for Bosco. Now, that's a clever move potentially, because it might just keep a little bit of focus off the window. Na'Vi might not actually realise there's somebody on rappel there with the barricade being opened up from red stairs.
Indeed. I mean, everything's going to look pretty standard here, I think, for the most part. The Clash going to be the real headache maker for them. Nate, you got to be careful. A side profile can still get you stung out here. Let's not forget his main role is to feed information and waste time rather than necessarily expose himself to a gunfight angle. That is Doki's job, the one playing in behind the shield here with a couple of ADSs to support. You saw the headshot that he landed last time round onto stage, but was immediately traded out by Bosco, who's playing on exactly the same window again. The real question is, can Doki change the outcome here, or can SSG find the kill onto Na'Vi before he can have any impact?
Opening kill could be huge here, and of course, we need to keep close eyes on Nath. That clash could also be pivotal. Now, SSG got themselves established inside a cigar and the top of red stairs. Piano is the next push. push. They're going to have to challenge on into there because otherwise they leave themselves exposed to the flank. Nath has actually got the shield put away for the time being, and he's looking to get aggressive, but no, switches back into defensive mode and moves forward to support Doki inside a bathroom there. Just again, give him another obstacle, something else to peek out from behind, and Doki's trying for all his life to find an angle here. He just wants an in, and that is something neither side has been able to find at this point.
Oh, that's a shot from Saves coming in at long range as well. Of course, had those awesome shots from red stairs earlier on, now doing the same upon the top floor. For Doki, he's happy sitting here wasting time and just contesting SSG. Let's not forget, we're down to 40 seconds left here, Raze. That is just how much time has been wasted, and this is looking like an incredibly dominant round coming out of Na'Vi. Space Station shook by the clash, seemingly unable to find an answer. Means that Na'Vi have had all the time in the world to play with here and to force the attackers to have to come up with something new, which so far they've failed to do. A nade in hand will maybe find Says no, get some chip damage coming in from below, but not taken out as 15 seconds settle in. I think this one is going the way of Na'Vi, Ace.
I think it is, and I think the clash is a big part of it, Des. If we have a look at the side of SSG and the composition that they brought here, they've got no direct counter to the clash. They've got a couple of nades, but other than that, there's no Zafir, there's no option to really move that shield from in front of clash. Even a Kali would be able to do that, but there was nothing making it easy for them, and it just completely halted that push. They got themselves into Cigar and red stairs. Right, great, where do we go? We can't move into piano. We can't move the clash. We can't get rid of them. We've got Doki challenging from bathroom, and it was a great hold from Na'Vi. Well played, and what a game we're witnessing here, Des. I daren't say it, but this could already be one of the games of the day. 3-3 at the half. Na'Vi SSG. This one's going to 12, I guarantee. This one, we're going to see all regular time rounds here.
It feels like it could very easily go that way. I mean, the thing is, what I love about it is we could easily have come into this game and SSG could have steamrolled Na'Vi or vice versa, and we'd go, well, you know, first game of the tournament, they're both just kind of warming up, it's going to happen. What I love is that rounds have been so back and forth. It has not been, you know, incredibly decisive towards one side. It is 3-3. We've had 2 flawless rounds from Na'Vi, 1 from SSG, some really good attacks, some really good defenses. It's been a mix of everything, and that is what you want to see, I think, from 2 teams that, I guess SSG more than Na'Vi, 2 teams that many are very excited about, can have a really good showing here at Mexico. I love it.
It's what we turn up for. It's what we're all about, and now we're going to see just exactly what's what between these 2 teams. We've got the side switch. Na'Vi are going to have to come in and make something happen on the attack. The onus is now on them, where on the defense, of course, you remember, these teams are playing against the clock when they're on attack, so the defending team, they can sit back. They don't have to make anything happen. If that 3 minutes ticks by and the attackers haven't come in and won the round, the defenders win. Simple as that. So Na'Vi, what can you do? How can you bring your aggression? How can you take control of this game now?
Well, Ace, I'm so glad you've asked, because look at the operators they've got.
It's as if I led you into it, Des.
Almost, isn't it? Yeah, Lion and the Kafe coming in together here just screams to me that aggression is going to be the name of the game. If nothing else, that, you know, if this were a top 4 attack, for example, I could see a pretty Aggie rush coming in on the top floor or something along those lines. I can't imagine we'll see it here, but we'll keep a close eye on it and see how it plays out.
Nath just taking a few pot shots through the barricade there. I don't know if that was on the back of a bit of information, but he's certainly keen to watch for the run out from Bakery Double Door as well. SSG have certainly prepped a couple of run outs here. Whether they're going to use them or not is a different question. Sometimes just that couple of knocks on a barricade can just be enough to burn 20-30 seconds, whilst the attacking team have to take that time to watch those angles and to just worry about getting in blur, nearly just dropping into the line of Nath's fire there as he drops off the rappel. But in comes an E1D scan. Doki moving in very aggressively here behind it, looking to sweep across that mid floor. He's got himself in towards trains already. He's going to need a bit of support on that top floor as well, though. He needs that clearance coming in, because otherwise Na'Vi will find themselves the victims of those vertical angles.
Oh, look at this as well. Potential push coming straight in as well from Fireplace, sorry, or into Fireplace from Train. A couple of teams have done this. Rather than clearing the top floor and going for a planted side of Reading, you just look for Fireplace, and a lot of teams will then open up the walls between Reading and Fireplace so you can challenge at those longer angles. Really keen to see what the game plan is here. If some vertical control is sorely needed, which I think it might be, given you've still got 1 or 2 holding up on the top floor at least for now. And you see how those open walls I mentioned as well, the Fireplace walls, the Reading walls on the south, all of it just looking to say we've got those longer angles to contest. Fultz finds Nate to kick things off.
That's a good start for SSG. They're taking down the Lion. There will be no more E1D scans coming in to make their lives difficult and force them to save still for the time being, but secretly he's going to get himself inside of trains. I just feel like Na'Vi have been allowed to take this control, Des. They've got themselves into mid-floor, into trains, and SSG are pretty happy with that because they know that they're going to play around it, thinking Nade finds Doki, and Saves is still trying to track down the Iana, which he will do successfully. Kill onto Fultz, brings it back to 4 versus 3, but with 30 seconds left to go, this is all stacking up in the favour of SSG. There's absolutely no panic in this defence. They are very confident in their setup and exactly where and when they need to defend. Impressive stuff so far.
15 seconds left.
Really, really impressive stuff. Yeah, I mean, down to this final 15 seconds now is the time to make the birds sing. 4 versus 3 for SSG. We've just got to wait and say, look, bait in if you want, but we know they've got these walls open. They'll make use of them all day long. Plants down to about 2.5 seconds. The cover is there. No way they found the 2 kills they need. How have Na'Vi got away with that one? They've robbed the vault and taken all the contents with them here, Ace, potentially. Back on the further away angle. Now it's going to be on Hot and Cold and Nade, who's got a slither of HP left, by the way, to make anything happen. I'm a bit lost as to where the long angle contest was coming in from reading, but it simply didn't exist. There's one hanging inside the train here. The Hibana holding close. Hot and Cold knows about it, but loses out to Secretly, who sees the feet first. One left alive here. Nade all by himself. Na'Vi have done an absolute Italian job here. In fact, no, Ace, it's the Mexican job. They've got in there. They've taken it all and snatched a round away from SSG.
Unreal. 30 seconds before the end of that round, and I'm saying how it looks for all our lives like an SSG round. They will be scratching their heads after that one, Des. They were so dominant in that early round, picked up those opening kills, and just got themselves fantastically well into the lead. And then all of a sudden, Na'Vi somehow just get away with one. Put the diffuser down and take the round. That is a big kick to SSG. And now comes that question. You remember, Des, I asked it at the beginning of the game. How do SSG stack up against the odds? And that's where they're going to start finding themselves soon.
It was pretty magical, to be honest with you, as well. Again, the real smash and grab job there to get away with the plan. It surprised me. I didn't think they'd walk away in that kind of situation, but you can see from the boys as well just how much it means. They know that that was a big round for them to get on the board, because now they've struck first while the iron is hot on the attack, and have given SSG something to start thinking about.
Certainly have, and think they will, I am sure, coming into this one. The thing is, so far, we have not seen anybody take a lead by more than 1 round. It has been an absolute maximum, a 1-round lead for each of these teams. So if Na'Vi can come in here and get themselves round 8, go 5-3, they will do something that SSG were unable to achieve on attack. And that's going to start to really turn the screw a little bit here. That puts the pressure on this SSG defense. They're going down to kitchen this time. They're going to mix it up. We're going down to that bottom floor. It was a site that we saw them attack well back in round number 3. They just went in there and absolutely took it apart. So I'm sure that they've got a game plan coming in here to keep Na'Vi slowed down. Now, Na'Vi look like they're going to be heading for that top floor clearance. It's not something that SSG worried themselves about as much. If you recall, Nath was able to play on that mid floor with the vertical angle for quite a while last time around when Na'Vi were defending here, but they've decided they're going to take all the way from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, I think it's the way normally it goes on this map as well, as you want to start on that top floor, clear out any roamers, work your way down, and Na'Vi actually were one of the teams for a while that were playing things like Oryx, looking to try and make use of that. I think initially it was Saves playing it, hanging up on the top floor with the ability to hop up and down those hatches, of course. Ultimately didn't really prove too fruitful for them once you are forced downstairs. Those hatches had drones on them. There was no real easy way to play any flank games, so it wasn't really all that effective. But that top floor clear to this day still stays the number 1. What, again, I always look for on this site in particular is how fast or how long it takes teams to start clearing this second floor. 1.5 minutes is kind of the average benchmark, and inside 1 minute and 50, they've already got started on the verticals. This is great stuff from Na'Vi. Really well timed so far.
Well, the other thing, Des, at 50 seconds into the round, I'm sure you noticed just how confident Doki's movement was there. Sweeping across that mid-floor, wasn't ADSing. The level of information on this Na'Vi side, obviously at their fingertips, is great, because Doki is moving with absolute confidence that he's not going to be challenged. He can just move in, yep, clear, all job done. We've got the mid-floor, we've got the vertical angles, we've got the opening kill. Doki finds Hot and Cold and takes him down. 5 versus 4, 1 minute 10 to go. Doki's going to hold the angle onto VIP now, and if this peak comes across across. I tell you what, Rampy's likely to lose his head.
What I love as well, by the way, it's Doki playing on the Maverick here. Now, maybe it's the M4 and he's happy playing around with it, but Doki playing a more supportive role is really interesting. Admittedly, when you've got a Lion and a Kafe in your lineup, yeah, that's kind of a thing. Fair enough. Here they've got rid of the Electro Claw and can finally get this hatch opened up. So they were stalled out for a while. That frag grenade literally failing to help them get this one open. But this is when they should start thinking about the drop. What they've got to be so careful of is Rampy playing here inside of VIP. I don't know if Doki's on the door anymore, ready to challenge. In fact, he is. You can see him on the bottom right corner of your screen. He is going to be pivotal to this drop coming in from Fireplace being successful.
Yeah, Rampy's smart enough not to take the challenge onto White Stairs here. He's got the angle that he needs, and somebody has to beat him. Somebody has to uproot him and take him out of that position. Now then, they've managed to drop onto the top of the shelves and move their way in. Blur finds one onto Fultz. There is no challenge from Rampy, thinking Nade's got himself stuck inside of the small bakery there, but here comes the retake. Rampy finds one, Bosco another. Shut down 3v2, 1 second left to go. Time is so close, but Saves starts to get the diffuser down. There's the shutdown from Rampy. Huge round from him. We had that almost misstep as the man managed to move across the front of him through Freezer, but he steps up and does what his team needs, drags them back into the round, finds the kills, and that levels us up at 4 versus 4 on the scoreboard.
I'm 90% sure Rampy started taking shots as he ran in there for Red Corridor as well. It came down to a couple of bullets not connecting to save that round for Na'Vi. You've had the craziness of the last round being dragged back from Na'Vi on what looked like a sure defeat scenario to this round. Rampy somehow putting on his best impression of Neo from the Matrix and getting himself on top of the planter to win the round out for SSG. It is back and forth. It's 4-4, and I don't see either team pulling ahead here, Tim. This is unbelievable siege.
By attackers.
Only a couple more rounds will decide whether we see all 12 to begin with, and the potential of a little bit extra as well. We've got 4-4 on the scoreboard, and as you say, just neither team being able to take themselves any sort of advantage here. Now, we're going to be defending up on the top floor. This is the first time that we will see SSG heading up here. It's 50-50 for them on defense so far. Reading did not go their way, but Kitchen did. Top floor it can be an interesting sight. It's one of those we've seen Na'Vi defend it very well a couple of rounds, and I know that the statistics from EUL tell us that in terms of EU teams, that's not often a well-defended site, but Na'Vi able to turn it around. The question is, can SSG manage the same now?
Well, looking at the setup coming in, it looks like a very much hunkered down comp from SSG, doesn't it? Jaeger and the Maverick for that anti-throne utility. The Goyo shields protected by those. Evil Eyes for a bit of information. Then Bosco bringing up on the trusty smoke. Whereas on the other side, you're seeing more of the craziness coming out from Na'Vi, the Lion and the Kafe in combination. Plus this time, the Iana coming along as well. So they've got even more frags to play with here. 4 of them, in fact. Not just a Sledge in isolation, but the Iana there too. Doki stepping across onto that one. A little bit of a step away from the Maverick that he was playing in the previous round. But that just suggests to me, Na'Vi really want to be playing with 4 frag grenades in every single round. That's why you had him bringing the frag grenades on the Maverick in the previous round.
Shots once again, just clearing out utility from the outside there. We've got the man on rappel. Going to be Blur looking into Piano. Saves is looking down onto the White Stairs. Run out Rampy all the way down on the bottom floor with the Jaeger. And I'm asking the question now, do Na'Vi know that he is there? Because a run out here, Rampy is right up against that double door, Des. He's thinking about this. He's potentially going to burst out of there, and he might just find himself one if he does. The man was on rappel, but I think he's just missed his opportunity. The rappel has been cleared here, but Nath, he's still on the other. There were 2 above there. Now he does take the run out. There we go, Rampy. Does he find his man? Of course he does. Takes down Nathan, takes the Lion, takes the E1D, scans along with him, and that is a big play, not only in terms of the kill, but the fact that it forces Doki out of position. It wastes time. Doki now has to go and find Rampy, and that is a bit of a misstep from Na'Vi there.
Really frustrated as well. Yeah, I wonder if he knows that Rampy's stepping up this way, because he was quite low HP throughout the whole thing, and sure enough, Doki will win this one. Takes a shot himself. About the same amount of HP that Rampy had left there. So no magical headshots coming through for either side. Straight up gunfight. The Doki having the greater HP total is going to walk away. The victor on. Frag grenade way into the back there. What a nade coming in onto Fultz. Takes him out from behind the second mini bar. And with him removed from inside of the bar area, Na'Vi can breathe a little bit easier now. They're in a 4 versus 3 ace. This is where you start thinking they can start getting an advantage here. Pushing their way through. Looking for a plant potentially. Or Doki could just go absolutely bananas and look for a kill. Do you know about the man in behind the shield here? I don't think they do. He's going to try and look to go deep instead. Sees the one, but loses it out to Bosco with a great headshot. Plant was going down here, but now into the 3 versus 3 and 30 seconds to play. We've got to see some more movement coming out. Great C4 over the top. Nothing to be said for the side of Na'Vi. 30 seconds still to play. Say's going for a hot drop. Does he know about his man here? Yes, he does. Doesn't manage to connect the shot. Now that they know he's inside a bar, surely he gets railed. Indeed, he does. Blur dropping in through red in a 1 versus 3. Something tells me this round is going to be unsavable. Bosco closes it out with a 3k in the round. SSG with a good defense.
Bosco's play at the end of that round was so important to that SSG defense, and then Hot and Cold just backs him up beautifully from Cocktail. Just throws himself out a little nitro, almost like he was tossing a drink down the bar. There's all the way from Cocktail. It comes in and absolutely destroys the planter, but Bosco just able to put the brakes on what was a very aggressive sweep from Na'Vi after they got those couple of kills, just driving in, looking to get the diffuser down, but they couldn't deal with the man in freezer. If that kill goes the other way and Bosco dies, different situation. Na'Vi probably take the round, but SSG, they hold on to what could have been a tough situation. They lock it down. 5-4 they find themselves now on the scoreboard and heading towards a match point opportunity. But in order to get there, they're going to have to lock down reading, which they were unsuccessful with in their first defense back in round 7.
Otherwise, things are looking relatively samey. A bit of a change coming in for Na'Vi in terms of lineup, where they haven't got the Maverick and the Hibana coming in together. This time, it's just the Hibana. Otherwise, Doki is sticking on to playing that Iana. What I've got to note, by the way, is the kind of balance across both teams. Outside of Nade, who's at 2 and 6, but remember he had that one critical kill back in, I think it was round, I want to say it was 4 or 5, I forget the one, but where he won it for them in the 1 versus 1. On Na'Vi's side, 5, 6, 7, 7, 7 kills. Everyone is so balanced. On the side of SSG, 8, 6, 6, 6. Everyone is getting involved. It's not that there's 1 or 2 players just charging ahead and carrying the game here. This is a real team effort coming out for both sides on Kafe.
Oh, we love to see it. This is two great teams facing off against each other. As you say, this is not down to any one individual keeping his team in it or being, you know, the absolute sort of pivotal presence. This is about everybody doing the bit, and we're seeing some great team siege here. We're seeing good droning. We're seeing obvious comms. We're seeing nice entry battles. It's, you know, it's got absolutely everything that you could ask for from an opening game, and I think we maybe need to start a petition, Des, that tournaments are always opened with a Na'Vi SSG game, because look at what happens.
Absolute insanity is what happens, Ace. Also, it feels like every time it steps into it again. The last series they played was 2 and 1, so it did go the distance. It was far from a rollover. The stats might tell a different story, but hey, that is what it is. Loki knows there's a man sat right back in Cocktail here. Grenades going to come singing through, all the way through to the back. There are 2 ADSs sat there present, doing a bit of protection work with the mute jammer also holding up against the wall. So a lot here to protect this one man playing alone inside a Cocktail, very much on a one-man mission, but has the support again from, I imagine, Bosco playing in deep freezer behind a shield yet again. So despite this being that second floor defense, everything otherwise is looking exactly like our previous round when we were defending the top floor.
That's a Gun 6 and a nade sent in to try and clear out the deployable shield, but as you say, still holding down the position inside a Cocktail. The freezer deployable shield has been dealt with, so that'll allow the challenge on to Bosco, but that can't come in until Cocktail has been dealt with, and he knows that, so he's just going to keep himself locked in the corner of freezer, and it looks... all my money like Na'Vi have decided that is not the push to make anymore, and they're not going to go headlong into it. Instead, looking to gain themselves some access into dining and find a couple of kills on the mid floor instead.
All right, keep a very, very close eye here on these angles that have been opened up again between Fireplace and Reading if Na'Vi go for it. Oh, change explosives. Why not? C4 goes one way and Nade goes the other. But both sides walk away unscratched, it feels. Doki finding one onto Fultz here on the red corner. Sees the one more halfway up white, but can't quite connect onto that kill. Must know a man's close here. Yes, he does. And will finally lose his life. Hot and Cold bringing it back. 4 versus 4 with 40 seconds to play.
Getting aggressive now. SSG step forward. Hot and Cold and Rampy just doing the business as they have throughout this game. Getting the kills. The real impact moments in the rounds have almost always come from those two. Ooh, and once again, Hot and Cold gets involved. Headshot onto Secretly. Nath manages to find one, but 2 versus 3. 25 seconds left to go. It's going to be a big ask and a big ask. Nath delivers big time with a kill onto Thinking Nade up on the balcony. 2 versus 2. But it's going to be tough to get the diffuser down here. They don't actually have it in hand at the minute. It is Cold on the ground, but Hot and Cold, he is put Cold on the ground as he goes into down but not out. It's all up to Bosco. If anybody can do it on the side of SSG, we know that he's the man. He can make those bold decisions. Nath, he's going to start to get the diffuser down. I don't think they know where Bosco is pushing from. He finds one. Can he get the second? Surely he knows where it's coming from. It goes down. He looks for the shotgun. He finds the kill, and what a turnaround from Bosco as he goes in to disable the diffuser and put SSG 2 rounds ahead for the first time and onto the match point.
You just knew, didn't you? You just knew. 15 seconds on the clock. Bosco in a 1 versus 2. Na'Vi scrambling to find somewhere to plant and find the last man, that this was going to work out that way. Great play once again. 2 big rounds for Bosco. The 3K in round 9. The clutch in that round just then. Him and Nade, as the backline players for this team, have had some brilliant rounds today. 3 rounds singly coming down to them. Rampy with his 1 versus 2 in the plant as well. Na'Vi will look back at this and think, boys, there's 4 rounds there that we could have won, but we've given away, or not so much given away, but SSG have taken a big advantage in, and now they're the ones sat at match point. It's 6-4. SSG have broke that round for round curse, and Na'Vi have got to dig deep here and find 2 rounds to send us to overtime.
It's certainly not going to be easy for them from here, because you can just see that SSG have starting to build that confidence. If you're going to start hitting your 1v2s like that, then it's just going to start snowballing, and that momentum is going to sit with you. And SSG just managing to get that 2-round breathing space at the absolute perfect time here. Haven't been able to achieve it so far, but they're not going to mind that. 6-4 is looking pretty good to them right now. It gives them 2 opportunities to get this one shut down. The first attempt will be down in Kitchen, but as you say, Des, coming into that, you just know that if anybody's going to hit that 1v2, Bosco is the man to do it, because he's just so calm. His decision making is so good. You know that he's going to give himself every opportunity and every advantage to be able to win those gunfights, and he just played it perfectly.
Now, a bit of a change here for Na'Vi, and a risky one, I'd say, when you played every attacking round so far with a particular lineup and you change away at the last moment in the last possible round. Always makes me a bit nervous. You've got Doki back on the map. You've got Saves playing with the nades on the Ana. So 6 frags in total for Na'Vi. But the big change for me is the dropping away of that line in the Decabi. And now they've also got a Capitao on side coming in for Nath. That screams to me that they want to be playing behind these frags. They want the vertical control to come into effect, get Blur upside, upstairs and alive, and make use of those 6 frags to good effect. And then it's going to come down to the execution out of Nath and that Capitao and the damage that he can do. So let's keep a really close eye on what that Capitao does in this round.
Really interesting so far. I've just had a quick look through the entry. We spoke about that entry battle before we came in and how it is a strong point for both of these teams. And so far, Des, in 10 rounds, they've had 5 kills each. So no surprise to see that this game has been as tight as it has. Now then, Bosco loses his life on a challenge this time, tries to get the early pick onto Doki, but a great headshot comes in and Na'Vi keep themselves fighting. There's that entry battle coming out once again, and this time it's Doki who comes out on top. 5 versus 4 inside of the round. They've got their access into Kitchen. This is a full bakery push coming in from Na'Vi.
Oh, but Rampy. Oh, Rampy. He sees 2. They know both are coming. Oh, my God. If he gets both here, if they've managed to work a way around this even better, that'll be amazing. But he still wins. You see him and still lose. Rampy goes to the swing. There's a nade behind him. He finds a second. How do they not know? A C4 from Hot and Cold to Saves. But somehow, when the dust has settled, it is still a 2 versus 2. You thought Rampy might be able to end the round there and then ace. But no, there is still a chance for Na'Vi to hold on. Let's see how it goes, because we've still got 75 seconds to play.
How is that even possible? How does Rampy get away with that? He cannot be allowed to move on to the bakery flank like that, especially with the repel on small bakery window. What a play from Rampy. That was all about him just making it happen, and you love to see it. Those are the moments that you want delivered at the major. The best plays from the best players, and Rampy doing exactly that. 45 seconds left to go. Na'Vi taking their time here. They've got drones available, and they're looking to use them. They're looking to find out where those last players are located. Secretly knows that there's one in the default plant spot, but Rampy is the potential problem. Out goes the first flashbang, looking to clear some utility more than likely. Rampy's got himself down to the bottom of red stairs here and really could spoil this party if they don't deal with him. 20 seconds left to go. Here comes Blur. This is a gunfight that Blur absolutely has to win if he's even aware that Rampy is in position. Secretly going to get the diffuser down. Here it comes, Rampy and hot and cold. If you were going to pick two players to close out that game, it would surely have been those two. And what a play from them. Despite the droning, Na'Vi just still seem to be unaware of the position of Rampy, and rightly so. He comes out as the MVP. What a game it's been from him.
I mean, from every player there, like I mentioned, so many getting involved. Look at it, 3 players on 10 kills, Doki on 10 on the other side. Really only looking towards Nate, potentially falling quiet, but you don't care when he's winning you the kind of rounds that he was. What a game there. Honestly, the scoreline looks 7-4, and many will look back at that and say, oh, SSG have breezed their way through Na'Vi. By no means. That was a really good start to Mexico for both of these squads.
What a start, not just for the squads, Des, but for us. What a game to open things up with. That was an absolute beauty. If that's any indication of the quality that we are going to see over the next week and a half, then we are in for a real treat, because if it goes up from there, I don't think I can take it, Des.
No complaints at all. I know Amanda might have a few things to say, though. Let's get Jackie, the lyrical wordsmith, back on with us. Here he is, my man. Did you enjoy that game, mate?
I did indeed. Sitting in the back lines, watching Na'Vi, thinking, Natus Vincere, they're going to live up to the name, born to win, but apparently destined to lose when they go head-to-head versus SSG, sending them off back to space looking like Team Rocket, Des. They were flying off.
They were, to be fair. I touched on it in the cast as well. You know, there were a few rounds that came down to 1v1s, 1v2s. That clutch factor isn't really something you can sit in a coaching room and teach either. That is just what makes a world champion. And SSG has shown, you know, why they did so well last year, why they're full of promise for this year. Excellent showing from so many players on their team.
Yeah, I think that's really well evident as well, based on what you were saying during the cast, right? It was back and forth like a metronome the entire time. Really hard game to call, always going down to the clutch factor, because everything else was very mechanically sound. The droning was on point, the spacing was lovely, allowing us for some really clean trades. If it wasn't one player having a formidable performance in the round, it looked evenly matched him.
It certainly did. This is, you know, like you say, it was just back and forward the whole way, but ultimately the difference was the core of SSG. It was Rampy, Bosco, and Hot and Cold. I mean, if Bosco keeps playing like that, he's going to be getting cold Bosco throughout this tournament, because those plays were absolutely ridiculous. The 1v2 really swung it for me, and it just felt like that was where the seal was broken for SSG. That was where the difference making came in, and they just sort of ran away with it from there. So for me, absolutely pivotal moment to the game from Bosco.
Madness. He really did look like a goat that was driven wild for a salt lick, just climbing up all sorts of hills, getting himself into treacherous positions, but the angles were lovely. Let's have a look at this game from a bit of a different angle though, right? If we go back a key round, round 4, it felt like for me that was when Na'Vi were really starting to come out of their shell, Des. We look at saves, huge 2k, massive round. The impact was there. Na'Vi looked like they were on a good standing. And then again, we just see it all start to trickle down. How many times did we have literally, a 1v1 deciding if Na'Vi were going to get themselves another round or if they were going to be left just trailing along in the coattails again?
It was madness, wasn't it? Honestly, round 4 was the one where they got that flawless round. Immediately after in round 3, SSG got a flawless round. So the kind of back-to-back really showed you this is a balanced game. Both teams can really bring it to the hilt here and show you what it's going to come down to. But I think that was kind of the end of, I don't want to say stability, because it was very back and forth, but it was the end of the expected kind of decisive rounds, right? Because from there onwards, that's where we started seeing the crazy 1v2 clutches, the 1v1 wins in the post plans, for example, right? So that was kind of the exciting point to show that Na'Vi has still got something to show, even though they've walked away the losers here. There's still plenty more to come from them. And already I'm thinking about when SSG play Na'Vi again. Oh, What a game that's going to be to watch. God bless Double Round Robin.
Oh, it's going to be gory. It'll be like a Quentin Tarantino movie because that's what a lot of the rounds with focus on Rampy looked like. He was just running absolutely rampant non-stop. We had, obviously, what was it, the round with the diffuser as well. 1 second away, plants going down for Na'Vi, straight in, tidying up with Big Papa Pump. It was outrageous. A hell of a way to start off the first game of the day with SSG picking themselves up a juicy victory. So much more to go though, of course, over the course of today's show. It does not stop here. It's only going to get better. So do not go anywhere. Grab yourself a drink and come back for some more Mexican Major Madness after the break.